Guten Tag alle, heute werden wir ein paar mehr Übungen mit dem Perfekt machen auf Deutsch und auf English. So today we're going to talk about the perfect tense in English and in German, focusing on the German of course, forming past participles. I just want to begin by showing you some examples of the perfect tense in English in case you're not familiar with it. A lot of people, of course, if you're not studying English, you don't necessarily care about the grammar, but the grammar part, what officially you would call I have eaten pizza, for example, this is a perfect tense in English because it has a helping verb and then a past participle. And the past participle in English is the eaten, or in these examples, eaten, watched, surfed, had, listened, fed, invited. And one thing you'll notice about the English is that this is stuck right next to the helping verb, and then everything else is after it. So I have eaten pizza, or I have watched Big Brother on TV. So in English, we often prefer to use the simple past when we talk about past events, things like I saw Spider-Man or I went roller skating. But in German, they prefer to use the perfect tense when talking about past events, and you're more likely to see the imperfect or simple past in written German, for example. Okay, but in speaking, Germans prefer this perfect tense. So let's go over the formation of some verbs, past participles. That's going to be an important part of being able to form the perfect. And when you learn a verb, you should learn all its conjugations and its past participle. But there are some tricks. For example, when a verb ends in ieren, like demolieren, then what you have to do is simply drop the en off and add a t, and the past participle becomes demoliert or demolished. Verladen, it's a verb that when you take the en off, it ends in a d or a t, or sometimes even an n. You're going to add that extra e before you add the t, and you will not put anything as a prefix, so it's just verladen. Ver is an inseparable prefix in German, so that's the case for that. Operieren. Operieren operates just like demolieren did. When a verb ends in ieren, that's a rule. You can drop the e and add a t. Zumachen. Now you're going to have to be able to recognize separable prefixes in German. Zu is a separable prefix, so when you're forming the past participle of a separable prefix verb, that ge will go in the middle, so it'd be zuge, and then you're still going to drop the en off the n and add a t, zugemacht. And this is all covered in some depth in a previous video we did over the perfect tense. So we'll go a little faster now. Bezahlen, bezahlt, inseparable prefix, just like number 2 or Nummer 2. Aufmachen, it's just like number 4, aufgemacht. Haben, gehabt, and that's the standard weak verb formation of the past participle. In German, verbs fall into regular or irregular categories, and then they also fall into separable or inseparable prefix verbs. So with regular weak verbs, this is the standard way you're going to form the past participle. Put a ge on the front, drop the en, add a t, gehabt. Telefoniert, gebadet, that's similar to, it's actually a weak verb. So it adds the ge, but since it ends in a d after the en, you're going to add that extra e. Gebadet, gekocht, erreicht, gespielt, verkauft, entdeckt, angeklagt, geschaut und gesagt. Und getippt, geraubt und gelacht. Okay, so again, if you don't understand all of that, please go back and view our previous video. Okay, so some examples here. You want to say, I've learned German, and as I showed you in that previous example at the start of the video, in English, we do this. We put the past participle in this first sentence, learned. In many cases, right by the helping verb, so have. So I have learned German. In German, they're going to put that learned at the end. So it's Ich habe Deutsch gelernt. What have you learned? Was hast du gelernt? This follows the English word order, actually, because it starts with a question word. Then you have the helping verb, then you have the subject, then you have the past participle. He has worked all day. Hat den ganzen Tag gearbeitet. Hast du für das Quiz studiert? Was habe ich gemacht oder getan? Hast du diese Musik gehört? Wir haben ein Auto gekauft. Und hat mich gehört. So, das war's. Vielen Dank.